Hello, everyone, and welcome to another interview as part of our Aviation Week Network ATW Leadership Forum. My name is Kurt Hoffmann. I'm correspondent for Air Transport World, and today we have the pleasure to welcome Mr. Alexis von Hoensbroech, the CEO of Austrian Airlines. Hello, Alexis.
Hello, Kurt. Nice to talk to you.
Thank you for your time. Alexis, I'd like to start with a big problem for all of course, the aviation worldwide, but especially in Europe, as we see at the moment permanently ongoing changes in travel restrictions. As an airline like yours, traveling a lot within Europe, do you feel sometimes the airline are on their own, no support from the government to make traveling easier? How you deal with things like that at the moment?
Yeah, that's a very good point, Kurt. And this is indeed a big headache. Although I wouldn't say that we don't see support from governments. I think the governments show that they're very keen to support their airlines or the national airlines to survive this crisis. But at the same time, the travel restrictions that come from all the nations that are trying to fight the virus are making it very, very difficult indeed. Right now, we see ever-changing restrictions from all nations, sometimes not only the nations, but sometimes also the states within the nations. They are all different. They are varying from day to day. And this is both highly confusing, both for us and for our passengers, but it's also slowing the demand dramatically. And right now we hardly see any demand. And what I'm really disappointed is that Europe is not taking the lead here, because this is, I mean, this would be such a good area for Europe to deliver real value, to develop standardized travel restrictions or dealing with travel in a standardized way. But the way we live it right now, this is like in the mid-age.
Is there a sign of hope that there's some improvement? Do you discover something within the European Union or from some governments, or is it still too complex?
Well, I think a good move is that the European Union has at least issued some recommendations. So they are trying to at least move the nations into a direction where they harmonize their approach on this. So I think this is good. On the other hand, I don't know how long it will take until something like this will realize. I think so far the governments are trying to fight the virus by restricting travel. And whether this is successful or not remains a different question if I look at the current figures. However, I think there are some signs of hope, because within the last weeks, there were several new testing procedures that entered the market, rapid testing. So in contrast to earlier days where the PCR tests, that's very expensive and takes a lot of time, was the only way to test whether people are infected. Now several rapid tests entered the market, and they are both cheap and rapid, as the name says. Within 10-15 minutes, you get the result. And this is actually a tool where we believe that this could at least allow some freedom of travel. Because in the end, I think it's on the long run not the right way to have real travel restrictions in terms of people from a certain nation may not enter a different nation, because this is hitting everyone. But we should get to a differentiated approach where those people who are not infectious and not infected, or where the probability that they are not infected is very high, that these people are allowed to travel, while those people who are infected should not travel. They should stay at home anyway. And rapid testing procedures can open the way for that. And I think some governments in Europe are ready to go that direction. I think the Austrian government is actually quite positive in this direction. Other governments are still somewhat hesitant. Sooner or later, I hope we will get into this arena.
I think time is essential as we go now entering the low season, which the airlines coming out of a low season anyway and entering now the winter low season. I think Austrian Airlines have now just 30% capacity compared to last year's schedule for autumn. So for the next 5-6 months, do you see any kind of improvement, or will be this a very serious, challenging time for the airlines here now, let's say in Europe?
I think looking at the next couple of months, we don't expect any improvement. In contrary, I think it's going backwards. 30% is a figure that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. I think it will be significantly less. So we are cutting capacity again. I think right now you don't earn money on flying anyway. Yeah? So it's more keeping the aircraft in the air and not losing money of it. So, but it's nothing you can really finance an airline with. I think all airlines are now challenged with or are facing the challenge that they have to get through the winter. And I think our position to get through the winter is actually pretty good. We received a strong package, liquidity package from the Austrian state, from banks and from Lufthansa. So we can definitely survive the winter. But the critical thing will be, what is going to happen next summer?
Yeah.
So is the next summer, is it realistic that next summer we will have some kind of relief so that people start flying again? Not on the pre-crisis level, of course, but that some demand returns into the market because there's some kind of vaccine or some kind of rapid test regime or some therapy or anything so that traveling becomes possible again. And then I think most airlines will be able to get out of this crisis. Or whether the next summer will be lost again. And if this is the case, I think basically all airlines will be in new trouble.
So that means most of the airlines would need money again, a kind of support. But let's hope that the summer will see some improvement. Your airline itself losing around 40 million euros liquidity per month at the moment. So far, you're stabilized to survive the winter.
Absolutely. So of course we are trying to reduce this figure as well as possible. And right now, I think the main task of all airline managers is to minimize the cash out.
Yeah.
And this is what we are doing and what all other airlines are doing as well. So we are trying to get below these 40 million per month, of course. And the better we can do that, the longer we can survive that the virus is possibly not being dealt with. So I think that this is what all airline managers have to do right now. But of course, the next summer will be critical.
Do you have to implement additional measures to have your cash position in a good shape? So meaning maybe you have to ground more aircrafts. Let's say maybe the A320 fleet is too big now at the moment. So you have to do something more and reduce capacity further over the winter time?
Well, I said it already. We are currently reducing our capacity as we are seeing that travel restrictions are rising. Below 30%, yes. We will go below 30% as we are seeing that travel restrictions are rising, and you don't just have to extrapolate how the corona figures are developing right now. So I think you don't have to be a prophet to know that things will only turn worse. Yeah? So therefore, I think we need to act a little bit in advance and reduce capacity.
Yeah.
So we are looking at all measures to reduce our cash out. I think this is what we have to do because our main goal has to be that we can survive as long as possible without additional cash, because we don't want to enter into a new round of negotiations.
And we see this situation all around the world. Doesn't matter with which airline we talk in the last few days, everyone have to reduce capacity, nearly everyone. But as you as an airline, which is a hub operator, you have Austrian Airlines is still specialized between West and Eastern Europe, and still actually a good program. But how can you operate on a hub with really less, with a small percentage of capacity? How difficult is it to do a kind of hub operation in times like this?
Well, it has advantages and disadvantages. So right now, as Vienna is more and more a risk area from perspective of many European countries, the point-to-point traffic from and to Vienna is actually pretty low, while connecting traffic through Vienna is still relatively stable. So ironically, The hub function is currently securing that our network can still work. So we are connecting Eastern Europe, Southeast Europe with the German-speaking countries, with Western Europe, and also, not to forget, with some of our long-distance destinations.
Yeah.
So we still have a handful of flights to the United States. We can get hardly any people from Europe because Europeans are not allowed to fly to enter the United States, and vice versa. But people from outside European Union, they are allowed to enter the US. So we are filling these aircraft now with people from Eastern Europe, from Southeastern Europe. So the hub function is actually really essential for maintaining the small network that we have. And we are currently learning how small a hub function can be designed while it still be functioning. So it's quite interesting learning also for us.
Oh, it's amazing. Good. It's interesting to hear, because the long haul segment will take a longer time to recover, actually, as we see Lufthansa, Austrian Airlines is part of the Lufthansa Group. To recover or restore long haul operations is a very difficult thing. How you see your long haul operations, the future for them? And is there a kind of minimum size of fleet necessary to operate a long haul network ideal?
Well, obviously, there's a big difference between the Corona time and potential post-Corona time. So within Corona time, I think we all fly on site, and the long haul business is giving us some support, but this is nothing to build a business model on. On the long run, we are committed to maintain our long haul network. How small it can be, I think there's no mathematical figure, but currently we are expecting that after Corona, we will have 9 long haul aircraft active here in Vienna.
Yeah.
So I think to go much below that would be probably difficult, simply because in a normal market situation, running a hub only makes sense for long haul. The intra-European hubbing is a business model of the past. So it still creates some contribution margin, but it's not a profitable. It's not a business that you would build a long-term profitable business model on. So therefore you need a certain component of long-haul traffic, and this is also true for us.
My last question: as you're part of the Lufthansa Group, which benefits brings Austrian Airlines for Lufthansa? There's Swiss as a big network carrier. There's Lufthansa itself. We have Eurowings. What's the main support from Austrian Airlines for the Lufthansa Group?
Well, first of all, I think it's fantastic that Austrian Airlines is part of the Lufthansa Group, because we are connecting 2 markets, Austria and Germany, and also Switzerland. So basically 3 markets that have a very, very strong industrial base, a lot of business traffic, but also a lot of private traffic. So this is a very strong and a strong group of airlines that works very well, and we profit very much from being part of that group because of the commercial power of this group. While at the same time, from the Lufthansa perspective, it's very attractive to have Austria and especially the market Vienna and around Vienna, which is a big market, to have that as one of the strongholds, home markets of the Lufthansa Group. And at the same time, Austrian Airlines has a very strong network in Eastern, especially Southeastern Europe. So in some of these countries, we are the main carrier. So since these are growing markets, this is a big value that Austrian Airlines also brings to the Lufthansa Group.
Alexis von Hoensbroech, Austrian Airlines CEO, talking about the challenges of the aviation in Europe. Alexis, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
All the best, you and your company. Stay healthy.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching us today, and wherever you're in the world, we are looking forward to see you again. Thank you and bye-bye.